Hey everybody, Andy here from Left Field Engineering again. Going to do a little troubleshooting and an update on the motor kit. So I've had a couple people come back to me and say it's not working right. I'm having a couple of issues. So working through those problems with customers, I've come up with a couple of things just to check right out of the gate. So one of the common feedback items is the truck loses power, or it doesn't have the power that is displayed in the first video. So a couple things to check. You can kind of see my list over here. Number one, battery. So in traditional troubleshooting, you do the simplest thing first. I don't know how many times I have worked on a lawnmower, and mid working on the lawnmower, the engine quits. And you're going back and forth. I don't know what it is. Is it spark? Is it compression? Is it this? You know what? You probably ran out of gas, or the fuel selector wasn't on. So simple thing first. Number one, charge the battery. The ESC does weird things when it gets to low voltage cutoff. It'll run for a second and stop. And I know everybody's excited to play with the truck and try it out, but charge the battery, number one. Number two, high, medium, and low switch. So on the controller, you got right here, high, medium, and low. So I guess unlike a car where low gear is actually, a different ratio, this switch just cuts down the total output voltage of the ESC. I guess it's actually low, medium, high, not high, medium, low, but you get the idea. So in high, the kit's designed to run in high. My first video shows the truck running in high. You can see it right now. It's in high. That's what it is. That's the speed. This is in low. Now, if you see here, let's try to do it. I'm giving it full gas in low, and the truck's barely even turning the tires. This is stock truck, no brass, no weights, no special mods other than my motor kit. So, first thing, if you're experiencing, aside from the battery, if you're experiencing issues with it not having enough power, you can go ahead and just bump up the switch. So, designed to run on high, that's not changing any actual torque. That's changing the total voltage output of the ESC. We can see here now that I can even put some down pressure on it, and it just burns out on the table. So, next thing. All right. Next one is gear mesh. So, as part of the laser cutting process, the laser cutting company can't get the web any thinner than this. So I've tried talking to them, working with their technical department, and aside from machining it, which would make it cost prohibitive, I can't get the web any smaller. So I actually hand file these. You'll see here on my marks that I hand file the bottom of all three of these spots. And that is to introduce a little extra clearance for the gear and the spur. So, the gear mesh, I'm going to draw a very terrible picture here. You have your spur gear. Try not to look through the camera here. Again, sorry guys, you get one take. I don't have the video editing software, and it's hard to make these videos and do this all in one shot. So please bear with me. So the gear mesh is the space between these, and that is adjusted in the slot. So because it's a 13-tooth gear, this needs to be maxed out as far as possible. So if you're running into issues where the truck seems to hesitate and stop, it is perhaps that these didn't get filed enough. I have a system. I do 10 strokes per hole with custom files to try to open it up to a standard number, but it's such a small area to gauge, it's hard to get an exact, an exact science to it. So how you find out if you're getting stoppage issues. I'm going to try to do this in the light here. What you can do is you can put a Sharpie mark on the spur gear itself. So I'm going to try to get it here. If we put a mark on the spur gear, if that mark, I'm going to run this really slow here. Again, it's still in high. I'm going to throttle this down to as slow as I can get it. So that's my creep speed. So if you're getting hesitation at this creep speed, we're talking, I'm giving it 2, maybe 5% throttle. If you're getting hesitation here and it stops in the same place on the white gear, then it's because the transmission centerline shaft has a little wiggle to it, and the gear mesh is too tight, and it's causing binding. So you can back this gear mesh out. I mean, they can almost be sloppy loose as long as you're not skipping teeth when it binds up. So that's another thing to check. Another one is making sure that there's no slippage. You can do that by putting a mark on the brass gear and the motor shaft. This is a hypothetical. I have never seen this. I have over 200 kits in the market now. Nobody's ever reported back that we've had gear slippage, but it's something to be cognizant about. So if you put a mark on the brass gear and the motor shaft, go out and do your thing. Run it through some obstacles, up over things. I had somebody towing a small weight pulling sled with it. If the shaft moves, if the gear moves on the shaft, reach out to me. I have a fix for it. Basically, you can prick punch the gear with a tiny center punch, and it closes up that diameter a little bit, and it'll tighten back up on the shaft. So, you know, hopefully some of these things helps everybody out. You know, these are some of the simple at-home troubleshooting tips, and you know, I hope to keep everybody happy. Oh, one more thing. So early reports are that I'm getting breakage on the 3D printed battery trays. So this would be an ideal molded part. I work for a molding company, and these would be a cool part to mold, but it's like 10 grand to get a mold made, and 200 kits isn't paying for a $10,000 mold. So unfortunately, they're going to be 3D printed for the time being. This is a very small, you know, very small thickness right here, and that's to clear this 4-link arm. I actually filed down a couple of the first ones. It just barely clears that one. So in case anybody has a problem with it, first of all, I've redesigned this. I've opened up the hole a little, and I also drill these. I pin drill them by hand to make sure that there's a consistent diameter so that the 1.5 millimeter screws go in there real good. And I'm also including a spare one of these in every kit. That way, if a truck rolls over and breaks, or you know, you run into an issue, you'll have a spare. So try to keep everybody happy. I test every motor. If you may have seen this in passing, I have an additional harness on my motor. I run these on every one of them. That's kind of my sacrificial plug, so I don't wear out the ESC. Simple thing, it's supposed to turn clockwise as viewed from the front. So I run these, every one of them, run them in my truck, plug it in, make sure it works. I'll grab the gear and give a little drag to it to make sure that, you know, the motor has sufficient power, and it should end up being a good product. I really don't want to waste anybody's time or you know, or energy, so I just want to provide you with something cool to make your truck awesome, and yeah, hopefully that's what I'm taking care of. So if you have any questions, reach out to me. You know, if you bought a motor kit, you know, you get the little piece of paper. It's got my email address and all that in there. So yeah, I appreciate you watching the video, and keep on trucking.